few things in which clarity is needed. Number one, honesty. Honesty for the truth. And once we discover what the truth is, once we acknowledge that this is true, the next step is action. We know something is true. Are we going to turn our backs on it and then have to suffer the consequences of denying the truth or falling into similar circumstances of those who denied and rejected the truth? One thing about the truth is that it is one. And one thing about one is that it is solely belonging to thee. And one thing about thee is he. And one thing about he is that nothing exists without he. So what does all of this boil down to? This boils down to the truth is actually he. And if you turn your back on the one who you actually need, again, he, one, you need him. He has given a light as a means of guidance, as a means of prosperity, as a means of security, as a means of success, as a means of getting closer to him. And he says this is one way. And you say, I accept that. Of course, you're not going to be the same as the one who rejected it. There's no way. The one who turns their back on practicing for an exam or applying for a job is never going to be the one in the same predicament as the one who did complete opposite. And that's the thing about this. You actually have the truth that stands absolutely and unequivocally to anything. Excuse me. However, once the righteous are given the responsibility of understanding through divine knowledge and wisdom, and this is how the Quran has been brought. The Quran was not revealed as a bunch of narrations, like some companion or somebody many years later wrote about prophets, and this is the Quran. Neither is the Quran, the revelation as man, himself reading from a tablet or reading from a book, which God, descended upon. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why the Quran was inspired into man. Why the Quran was inspired with a very rich language, which has a very rich background, which has a direct lineage of prophethood. People need to accept when they see such a truth, to embrace it and to say, this is the only way to my Creator. My Creator, gave me an inspiration as he gave it to his prophet, alayhi salatu wassalam, which is the light of lights. He is the light. The Quran itself is also that same light. And people fail to know that the light Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about is the light that we follow in obtaining him through the Quran that we have today, which is inspirational by him through his Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam to us. And if we don't go in that direct order, then it's a wrap, because that's how he accepts it. That's what he says. honor. We have to also have another, an honor. An honor. We have to feel an honor in embracing the oath, the covenant that was taken on our behalf, that we take on a daily basis. Um, but also, as we accept prophets and we have the discipline of not insulting prophets, not killing prophets, we don't have that. We don't have a history of ridiculing prophets and debating with prophets. That's a discipline that is in Islam, in this internal everlasting peace. And once you embrace Islam, then once you repeat the kalima la ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, once you often repeat that, you'll know that is real. That is truth. That is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. You will understand that. And since you do and you embrace all prophets, take, their knowledge and their wisdom and the mentioning of them, because that's what's in the Quran. Allah quotes them so that, again, the inspiration, when we continuously quote it, it uplifts us. And people must understand that Allah put the miracle, and He names, the Quran with such, not just the name, but those are actual essences of the greater benefits and compensations of the Quran. So when you recite it, you're reciting as prophets, but also learn to have, stand up for prophets. The way Jesus, Isa, the son of Mary, the Ruhullah, the Messiah, who is closest to us than any other prophet. People forget that. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, because between him and Isa, there was no prophet between them, and they were the two prophets. So those are the two reasons that he gave. Why should we not speak out against Prophet Isa being up naked? Why is that okay for us to, not have any voice? I think, people all over the world, a cartoon comes out and the demonstration begins. But that is something in which our Christian or non-Muslim constituents should bring this up. Should bring this up and find a way. I mean, you want to be a follower of Christ, but what Jesus Christ says, if you really want to follow me up to this cross and be like me, up here like this. You would not endorse that for your brother, for your son, for your father, for your grandfather. How could you endorse that for someone who is your I'm talking, I'm speaking to us human beings. As a human being, I don't know any human being who would, sit back and just say, turn their, backs, or you say you're respecting it. How can you respect that when you wouldn't do it yourself? You wouldn't want it for somebody who is close to you. That's what the Quran is revealing or revealed. That's why the Quran is completely against that particular image. It's baffling. It's a very sad image, and strangely enough, if that is God. Okay, you want to say that? Fine. So what do you consider the wood that, or the whatever cross section? What exactly do you consider that? Or is it, so is it the actual person, or is it the, so if it's the cross, if you really just, this is the cross, this is what you're worshiping, or this is the image, or this is the symbol. They cannot, if that is the case, then take him down from that. because that's, and if he is the one, then you definitely do not need him to be on top displaying his body parts like that. You don't need that. Where's the point to that? That's the question, in which is very, very, very concerning. But again, learn to appreciate and love the best of what you have, and do not be too selfish to share the best of what you have. The Quran was revealed as an inspiration for those who could not read or write. That's why people who are rushing for reading and writing, particularly, in order to go for other things, they practically find no time. Those are the type. Anybody who leaves there, who does not read up on the Quran, or Muslim by name who has the Quran on the shelf, they go off to read and learn how to become engineers or doctors, and you hear the saying, "We need more engineers. We need more doctors in the community." Our brown, community, they talk this. We need more engineers. Make so much money, you're going to have so much money if you become doctor, lawyer, judge is good, pilot. You can join the force, then you come out. Very nice things. You're going to be big, 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 big time, make good living. Oh, Quran. You just know how to read it a little bit. Okay, go, don't worry about nothing. So everything okay now. You just go to school, college, everything like that. Don't this Quran thing. Oh, you know how to read. Praying is okay. Just do one raka, two raka, like this thing. It's no problem like this thing. But the important thing, you make good living, good income. You understand? You have to make sure you take care, because you get married later. Yeah, you marry. So you have uh, that perception. Although the saying goes, or the prophecy is, learning and teaching the Quran is the best profession to have. So you've neglected it in that way. But we've talked about that, and Allah knew that the revelations before it had been put in, on tablets. They had been written out. They had been distorted. He already knew all of that. So he didn't say to Prophet Muhammad والسلام, read, and then taught him immediately. He could have taught him immediately how to read. He could have made him and enabled him to read immediately and write. And then he would have came down. It would have been a great miracle. Here, this person does not know how to read or write. Now he's come down and he knows how to read and write and does all these things. He could have just given him the wisdom that way. But the first command is read, and he says, "What am I to read?" He knows, Allah already knows he cannot read. So what does he do? He inspires the angel to, or the angel inspired the Prophet ﷺ with the Quran, and then he begins to recite. He's not even reading; he's reciting, and that's important to understand, that the way the Quran was revealed is the way that we're reciting it, and the way that we're reciting it is the way that Allah Subhanahu wa Taala inspired it to be into His Prophet through the angel Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam. The other part of this, which many a times people seem to just somehow neglect, unfortunately, and all these points are directed towards the percentage, how the Muslim population is growing, not just in political affiliations, not just in building big buildings somewhere in the suburbs and attracting high class people to come in and see what you've done, not just by some medical action or activity, And neither is it just by sending money overseas or provisions for overseas. So that's also, all these things are good and well, but these things are not what founded or what established the community of Islam. They're not really what did it. And that's what's needed now. What's needed is a strong Muslim uh, community model which mimics to the core, legitimately, legislatively, as all necessary components. Most importantly, it's authentic by the letter. Then of course, you know, we will prosper. We will grow old. I mean, if you listen to the calls, you'll understand that we live in America. Those destitute of our indigenous are not, or who are seeking Islam, are not able to get it, or are being turned away, or are not known, or there's so many other things going on. We don't really understand the way to give, to work the zakat, or if we do, we don't really practice it. If we did, then you know each and every single instant a person is saying we don't know who to give zakat to. How long have you lived here? 5, 6, 7 years. You don't know who to give zakat to. That's that's a problem. That's a problem. Then you have a lot of people again with the Quran being on the shelf, but it goes worse than that because even those who take majority of people who take Quran classes and who educate themselves with the Quran, it's only so that they can spare themselves from guilt of not teaching the kids Quran, majority. And therefore, the homework is not something in which they encourage the assignments, same thing. Um, uh, Prioritizing the class, same thing. It's all a very, very low percentage. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says that this Quran, He's going to preserve it, and people think that preserving just means that nobody's going to be able to change a letter. That's preserving, yeah. That's a seen form of preserving, but I would hope that everybody would consider the unseen when he mentions preserving. Okay, bear in mind again that this was the roadmap for Muslim empires. Muslim empires. If you look back at the Islamic history, you're going to find where Muslims started fighting each other at at some point, but then they unified themselves again, and then they, mobilized and fought their enemies. So this is the reason why it's empires. But whenever they came back, it was because of the fact that they returned to the Quran and the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi
Sallallahu alaihi
wasallam.
wasallam.
And Allah subhanahu wa taala, He says that uh, in every time, you know, there's always a party whom are victorious. He always has a party at any given time who remain victorious against their foes until the day of judgment. It's very strong and it's true. And if we really love what's best for ourselves, we're gonna love the truth. And since we love the truth, Allah is going to aid us, and He's going to remain with us, inshallah. Jazakumullah. Thank you.